Health psychology from Islamic perspective or Islamic perspective on health psychology is quite interesting one. So let's start with health psychology, what's going on there, what are the premises, and as with any other branch of psychology, it is a very specialist area. We have to realize that, and it has its own focus on biology, psychology, behaviors, and social factors which influence the health or how we deal with health or how we deal with illness and pathology on a somatic level. So we are talking about medical psychology and behavioral medicine, as well as health psychology, all in one, right? So it's quite broad, versatile approach to this area of study. So we will take factors such as biological factors, personality traits, inherited genetic conditions, psychological factors, and that is personality, lifestyle, how we deal with the stress in our life, our character, and social factors. And that will include things like our support family or friends, environment, relationships and family dynamics, cultural beliefs, religious beliefs, those kind of influences, right? So the field of health psychology is actually promoting widely understood wellness as a prevention and treatment for disease and illness. So it's really about creating a lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle and mindset and inner motivation in order to prevent yourself from disease. And in Unani medicine, we have very similar approach. In naturopathic approach, we also have very similar objectives, and they would be three objectives. Yes, prevention, intervention as in treatment, but also maintenance, right? We recognize it from this branch of science for three factors, but in psychology, health psychology, we're talking about prevention and treatment. So we, as in health psychologists, we would actually study illness and psychological factors whilst you're going through this illness and contributing to this illness. Okay, so researchers, they want to understand how people react and how people cope and how people recover from illness. So we're talking about pain as well as supportive systems and psychoeducation from Islamic perspective. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, in Islamic perspective, from Islamic perspective, in Islam, we always go back to the sources, Quran and Sunnah. And what do we find there is that we should have a amana mindset, meaning the self-responsibility and respect to the fact that we have this health, this body, and clear understanding that we should look after it, right? So Quran says to us those, there is no disease, sorry, hadiths, they say that there is no disease that Allah has created except that he also has created its treatment. And that is where we're starting from as a scientist who perhaps are health psychology inclined, right? So we understand that any suffering, including emotional and physical, that can possibly affect a human being is actually prescribed for a specific reason and with a specific expectation. An expectation would be to psychoeducate yourself, look for treatment, look for answers, and change on that journey of recovery, because there's nothing that cannot be reversed, and that is according to this hadith, provided you are proactive. So we're talking about patients changing from being victimized into self-motivated, right? So we're changing this mindset from being victim, and we're going into a mindset of being being proactive about our life. So if we're talking about Islamic psychology, let's go back to maybe prophetic traditions, and we know that Muslim treatment is available by any means which treatment for Muslims should be available for any means as long as they are halal. But also they should not exclude metaphysical Yeah, metaphysical ingredients. So yes, we are talking about prayers. Yes, we are talking about self-protection through duas. We are talking about increasing in volume relationship with God and relying on him, because he is as Shafi, he's the one who gives the disease, and he's the one who gives the remedy for this disease. It is all coming through his judgment, through his will. And if you go back to roots of Islamic eschatology, it's very clear that the primary source of any disease and any level of the health, any good level of health, is from God. And then our job is to find remedies within creation that God made available to us. So the Quran uses if we use the Quran, we understand that it urges, it actually urged us and is urging us as we recite it, to find our ways through it, to deal with suffering and its presumed injustice in a very dignified way. Because, go back to Surah 29, do people have they reckoned that they will say we believe, and they will not be tested? Okay, so even the case of disease is a platform for our test of the strength of Iman. The factors that contribute to disease and illness from Islamic perspective, therefore, are metaphysical and very physical, very biological, psychological, and social as well. And all of those are taken into account. Many people who are actually going through terminal diseases, they're getting hyper, I would say, spiritual. They're finding a new path in their life, and they finally rediscovering what is it that they faith or belief was saying to them. And that is only because their priorities has changed. So if you like, should they not be ill, they wouldn't found their straight path towards the truth, and the truth in Islamic understanding is God himself, Almighty. Now, again, what is important, or maybe lastly, what is important in contemplation on Islamic health psychology is the fact that we are taking into consideration personality aspect seriously, because mizaj, or temperament, right? They've been incorporated into pious predecessors, meaning Prophet and people who came after him as well, and they understood it then. And we, if you want to stay closer to the prophetic sunnah of healing, we also consider how our personality affects our emotions, our diseases of the heart, our tendency to sin, and our bodily tendency or predisposition to fall ill. So we're looking at the science for temperaments, actually, and we're looking at tips how to feed our body, how to balance that physiochemical and physiological balance and reactions in our body for the sake of maintenance, not necessarily treatment, meaning intervention in our lives. So the balance among these qualities in us, those temperaments, is essential from the Islamic health psychology for us to maintain physiological and physical and spiritual wellness. So I hope that was helpful, and I hope that is a great food for thoughts. I will see you next video. Don't forget to sign to my YouTube channel, AJS Therapy, and inshallah I will see you with next video.